Just a remarkable story. A little boy has been brought here to General Hospital where I am. His name is Monley Elise. He is 5 years old, and his uncle says he just pulled him out of the rubble of the little boy's home, where the boy's mother and father are believed to have also died. The fact that if it is true that a little 5-year-old boy can have survived this long, 8 days, it is just extraordinary that anybody could survive. And also, I mean, I've just gone in with the nurses who are caring for this little boy, two American nurses from the International Medical Corps. They say they don't doubt his story, that the little boy is covered in dust. The little boy, it looks clearly disoriented. He's saying he's thirsty. He is severely dehydrated. He has something called Kortosikoff syndrome, which is, I guess, and the nurses know this by the smell, which is when the body essentially starts sort of consuming itself in order to fuel itself. This little boy, the uncle says he doesn't think he had access to food or water, though he doesn't know for sure. He found him in a small void space as he was digging through the rubble of this little boy's home. It's just, I mean, it's remarkable. You know, yesterday we were stunned here that a woman in her 70s was pulled out of the rubble alive. Today, a 5-year-old boy, his uncle says he pulled him out around 12:30 and brought him to the hospital. And he's been here now for about an hour, and he's being cared for very well by these doctors with the International Medical Corps. And other than being severely dehydrated at this point, and he has no broken bones, they see nothing else wrong with him. They think he's going to make it.
Anderson, absolutely incredible. We're now into the realm of miracles. You talked about the 70-year-old woman. We saw her yesterday being pulled from the rubble after all of these days and was uttering a prayer or something as she was pulled out. And then to see a 5-year-old boy. These are the people we identify as the most vulnerable, the elderly and children. And to think 8 days after this, people are still being pulled, 7 and 8 days, people are still being pulled alive. Obviously, from what you're seeing around you, this is not the norm now. We've moved into a different stage of this rescue where we're trying to get medical care and food and water to people. It's increasingly rare now to see people being pulled out alive.
It's increasingly rare. It's incredibly rare. I mean, it's just having somebody pulled out 8 days. And, you know, a couple things work in his favor. He didn't have broken bones. He was in a void space, so he must have had some form of ventilation. And the fact that he is young increased his chances. So, you know, I mean, one of the nurses, in fact, when I said, how is it possible this little boy survives, the nurse turned to me and said, you know, it's good to be young. It's hard to believe, and frankly, we were skeptical of the uncle's claims when he initially brought him in. I mean, he looks clearly like someone just pulled out of the rubble. I mean, literally, he's naked, he's covered in dust, but you know, he is severely dehydrated. If you pinch his skin, as the nurses did, it doesn't bounce back, which is a clear sign of dehydration. And then also this smell that he has, the nurses have described it smelling almost a little bit like alcohol. It's the smell that comes from the skin, and it comes from inside. And again, it's the body consuming itself. But it is, it's extraordinary. This little boy, he is so calm. He's sort of staring off into the distance. He doesn't quite look at you. His eyes sort of don't focus exactly on individuals. But he just keeps repeating, "I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty." At one point, he even said he was hungry, which the nurses also took as a very good sign that you know, he would have an appetite.